This is CTV News.
Good evening, I'm Sanjay Maru. Thanks for joining us. Days after car company Stellantis announced production is being moved from its Brampton plant to the U.S., we're getting more insight into the discussions between the federal government and the car company. The Prime Minister saying he has received assurances the Canadian plant will not be abandoned. This as Mark Carney also responds to China's offer to remove tariffs on Canadian canola if the federal government drops tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles. CTV's Mike Lecouture kicks things off tonight.
They're looking at different model being produced in Brampton.
That assurance came in a phone call the Prime Minister had 2 days before the company announced it was moving $13 billion in investment to the U.S. Mark Carney also reminded the global CEO that Stellantis committed to maintaining its full Canadian footprint in Brampton in exchange for federal and provincial money.
We need to be strong in terms of making sure that companies that have done well by virtue of the various subsidies or initiatives that have been made meet their obligations.
It comes as Ontario's premier has implored the federal government to hit back on American trade policies that Doug Ford says paved the way for Stellantis to move production.
There's times to hit back and there's times to talk, and right now is the time to talk.
Prime Minister.
That restraint could be tied to a bigger calculation on Canada-U.S. relations.
This is China versus the world.
The American Treasury Secretary is calling on Western allies like Canada to back the U.S. in the trade war with China.
We're going to have a fulsome group response to this because bureaucrats in China cannot manage the supply chain or the manufacturing process for the rest of the world.
That comes after China's ambassador to Canada told CTV's Question Period that if Canada removes its 100% tariffs on Chinese EVs, China would remove tariffs on Canadian products like canola.
It's not that simple, nor is the relationship in the auto sector that simple as just open a door here with China with no impact on the relationship with the United States and the impact on activity here in Canada.
In the middle of all this, plans are underway for Carney to meet with President Xi Jinping at the end of the month on the sidelines of the APEC summit in South Korea. Mike Lecouture, CTV News, Ottawa.
For the first time, Windsor police are saying they believe 37-year-old David Paveo has been killed, and the investigation has led to the arrest of 2 people who are now facing charges. Paveo was first reported missing in mid-August after going a day or two without contacting his family. Today, around noon, Windsor police officers and forensic identification experts were at 1057 Felix Avenue. We could see them collecting evidence both in and outside of the home. Late this afternoon, Windsor police confirmed to CTV News this is in connection to Paveo's disappearance and now death. Detectives believe Paveo was killed on or about August 14th. Also tonight, police have arrested 2 people from a home on Felix Avenue. 54-year-old Shane Ladisser has been charged with first-degree murder, while 49-year-old Marie Christine Hanna is facing a charge of being an accessory after the fact of murder and indecent interference with a deceased body. Now, viewers will recall police conducted 2 public searches for evidence in Paveo's disappearance over the last 2 months. This one was held in mid-September in Windsor at 2 locations. 2 weeks before that, officers searched ditches in Essex County. Throughout all of this, detectives would not say if foul play was suspected in Paveo's death, just that they wanted to find him. Police are still investigating Paveo's death and still appeal to the public to help them in finding his body. Anyone with information is requested to contact Windsor Police or make an anonymous tip to Crime Stoppers. Windsor Police are scheduled to host a news conference Friday to field questions from the media about this case. We'll bring you the details on CTV News tomorrow at 6. And a man armed with a knife was arrested near downtown Windsor Tuesday night after police received a call from a witness detailing a fight between 2 men around University Avenue West and Karen Avenue. The witness said one of the men pulled out a knife and started chasing the witness. Officers quickly located the suspect, de-escalated the situation, and arrested the suspect. Prime Minister Mark Carney says new legislation will be tabled next week, cracking down on violent and repeat offenders. He says the bill will introduce strong reforms on bail and sentencing. CTV's Rachel Aiello has more on the announcement.
The federal government says a crackdown on repeat violent offenders is coming.
It will no longer be up to the Crown to prove why someone should stay behind bars. It will be up to the accused to prove to the court why they can be trusted to be released.
Prime Minister Mark Carney says next week the Liberals will introduce long-awaited bail reform legislation to keep those accused of serious crimes out of the community. The new bill will also amend the criminal code to allow consecutive sentencing for those convicted of multiple crimes, end conditional sentences for a series of sexual offenses, and impose tougher penalties for organized retail thefts. These amendments are aimed at addressing headline-making crimes, including the surge in some cities of brazen smash-and-grab robberies. But they're getting mixed reviews from criminal defense lawyers.
And I think it's a measured approach. But at the end of the day, they just send a message because it don't really change that much, I have to say. But it sends the message that there is public concern.
I think it may work to curb that type of behavior, but I also think it is a ton of lip service.
These measures come after concerted pressure from premiers, police forces, and opposition parties.
And yet Mark Carney has done absolutely nothing to reverse the Liberal laws that caused this chaos and carnage.
Today, Carney also announced a nearly $2 billion funding boost for the RCMP. Coming in the next budget, the money will go towards hiring 1,000 new officers, increasing the cadet recruitment allowance, and dedicating more personnel to probing financial crimes.
The devil is in the details. We're going to take a look at what comes out next week, but we're happy to see that we were listened to and some of the things we advocated for were included.
Carney is set to continue his pre-budget pre-positioning tomorrow. The Prime Minister has plans to make what he called an important announcement on border security. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
Damage is estimated at $100,000, mostly in smoke damage following a fire in a second-floor bathroom at William G. Davis Public School in Windsor. The students were all evacuated and taken to W.F. Herman Academy for the rest of the day. Windsor Fire and Rescue says a school employee tried to use a fire extinguisher to put it out, but it was not enough. Fire crews had to extinguish the remaining flames, then turn their attention to clearing smoke from the building. Officials say they believe the bathroom fire was intentionally set and an investigator is on scene. A suspect was taken into police custody before being released to their parent or guardian. The Greater Essex County District School Board tells CTV News communications were sent to all families and no injuries were reported. Safety in some downtown alleys remains a concern, and now one Windsor City Councillor is exploring a new approach which could cut down on that trouble. CTV's Bob Belichico explains.
I'm the kind of person, I'm the king of the pilots, baby. Let's give it a shot.
City Councillor Ronaldo Agostino is floating the idea of installing gates like this one at both ends of downtown alleys in neighborhoods that want them.
I actually saw it when I was in Seattle last year as well. There were some gated alleys, and with some of the issues that we're having in our alleys, I thought, why don't we look into that and see if that's a possibility?
He has also seen this now private driveway in a dead-end alley in South Walkerville.
Before we had this, there's a lot of people walking through our alleyway going to Optimus Park. And now it's kind of secluded and it's a lot safer.
Zach Militek and his neighbor bought the alley from the city, paved it, installed a gate, and added a lock.
We were approached by the city to buy the alley, so we did that. We split it, and then we paved it and put the fence up just to kind of make our surroundings safer in South Walkerville.
Across the street, another neighbor is dealing with steady foot traffic.
We have a problem with a direct access to that park. So a lot of people who are not supposed to be in the park at all hours of the day and night have a direct line through here. So yeah, it would add to security.
The downtown gates would be backed financially by residents on the block, with options ranging from lock and key to key swipe entry.
That would help us out here with having unwanted people in the alley. We've had some problems with things being thrown in the pools around here. People that are not wanted in our yard, that would keep them out, I would hope. I think it's a great idea.
But not everyone's convinced.
I get frightened that you bring more people to an alley that has a gate. They're going to make it their own, and they're going to start to take up residence in it. That's just my opinion.
Agostino says many factors, including access by first responders, will have to be considered.
Maybe it's a bad idea, but if you don't ask, you don't get. And I'd like to know more because, like I've said, I've seen it in other places. I've seen it in Walkerville, and it seems to work. So I'd like to know more for my residents, for the residents of Ward 3.
Bob Belichico, CTV News.
Canada Post says it will prioritize reliable and affordable mail delivery across the country as it moves ahead with major operational changes to cope with a worsening financial picture. Last month, the Crown Corporation was given 45 days to come up with a plan to get its business back on track. The government approved changes to the Postal Service's mandate, including phasing out door-to-door delivery for homes still receiving it. Canada Post says it will ensure vital postal services for rural, remote, and Indigenous communities will be protected. It also pledged to be, quote, fair and respectful to employees as changes are rolled out. 55,000 unionized postal workers walked off the job in late September to protest the changes. Mail is moving again as they're now on a rotating strike. Well, after spending more than 2 decades watching the reality show Survivor with his dad, Jeremiah Ng of Tecumseh, he got to live out a childhood dream as one of the castaways on Survivor 49. He ate earthworms, slept on a flooded beach, but for the 39-year-old, the experience was worth every moment.
I started watching Survivor with my dad when I was 14, and I've been watching Survivor for 24 years. And up until maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, Canadians could never be on the show. For a show to be on like 24 years, it's a family show. People connect to it like from like all ages. So for 6 days, we kept losing the rewards and challenges. So I didn't have anything to eat besides coconut and earthworms. And so the biggest challenge was like not eating for 6 days. And that was my biggest fear going out on the show, is not eating. And then the heat, it was the second hottest season they've ever filmed Survivor. That gave you brain fog. And then also not sleeping. We didn't have a shelter. We slept on the beach. We actually slept on the beach and the tide came in the middle of the night. Our bodies were like submerged in the water. We were like soaking wet all night long. Crabs would like crawl on you all night long. So I definitely think it was the elements that was like the most challenging thing of Survivor. I'm the most unlikely person to ever go on Survivor. When I told my family that I was applying to be on Survivor, they laughed in my face. And I love comfort things. I hate the outdoors. I hate the sun. I hate the heat. If I'm able to kind of like go through the elements, I feel like anybody can go through it. If you have the desired dream to go on Survivor, apply and then figure out how you're going to last out there once you accept, the spot on the show. Survivor, it was just one of those things that I've always wanted to be a castaway, and I'm so thankful that I had the opportunity.
Still ahead, new data reveals hate-motivated crimes remain alarmingly high across the country. Who's being targeted most and what Ottawa plans to do about it.
5K a day is back on 93.9
Virgin Radio.
Listen to Hannah and Johnny in the morning for your chance to win $5,000
Every weekday.
5K a day.
Virgin Radio.
Looks like we're in for another cool overnight tonight as CTV meteorologist Gary Archibald joins us for a look at the forecast. Gary.
Yes, a cool, quiet night, hopefully. And a couple of things to point out, ladies and gentlemen. I know when I talked about frost earlier, some people have already reached out and we've been talking about just how beautiful it's been during the daytime. But it is the fall season and temperatures do drop below, well, the freezing mark at times. Eventually, that will be the story as we head deeper into this season, especially November and then obviously December. A frost advisory. Now, note the painted area, the constituencies, municipalities, Chatham-Kent, Erio, Rondo Park. It's not completely definitively along those county lines, of course, but the probabilities are higher that we could see temperatures near the freezing mark in the areas shaded in blue. And there could be some bleed and lean over, obviously into Leamington, Kingsville, Pelee, and Pelee Island, etc. So keep that in mind for our furry friends and your plants, of course, if you haven't wrapped them up. Now we're talking about temperatures being, well, seasonal for the most part throughout the region today. A beautiful, clear day for the most part, late morning, early afternoon, brilliant blue sky overhead, reaching 17. Our average highs closer to 15.5. And every day we lose about 1/10 or 2/10 of a degree on those stats. We just get cooler bit by bit as we head towards temperatures that would eventually be in the freezing range, no doubt. The overnight situation is one of increasing cloudiness coming from the north and northwest, and then we will see some showers potentially Friday night into Saturday morning. Again, Saturday night into a cloudy Sunday with some rain showers anticipated. The areas painted in green and blue areas will see some rain. Most of it's in upper Michigan, leaning a little bit further north and east of us, and it's less than 5 millimeters, so this is not a huge rainfall event. Projected temperatures, at least in terms of the computer models, suggest 5 degrees will be the low point before dawn tomorrow, but some pockets could get close to the freezing mark, hence the advisory in place from Environment Canada. Tomorrow's cloudy for the most part throughout the day. Could see some peaks of sunshine early in the morning and later in the afternoon, a high of 19. Where do we go from there? Take a look. 7-day forecast. We'll see cloudiness and showers potentially through the weekend. Temperatures rising, then falling off considerably as we head towards Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and even Friday. Lower teens, if that. That's a look at your weather.
Thank you, Gary. Some residents living near Bradley Park in Windsor's West End are encouraging the neighborhood to report concerns regarding a small encampment in the park to 311. The call circulating on social media. City officials say they cannot detail the exact number of complaints that have come in, but Ward 3 City Councilor Ronaldo Agostino says he has received calls about that particular encampment over the last couple of days. Agostino adds support will be sent out in the next few days to inform that individual of the resources which are available to him. In a statement, Windsor Police say they are aware of this small encampment and is working with the City of Windsor and Family Services Windsor Essex to connect the individuals involved with the appropriate social resources. They go on to say our focus remains on compassion, safety, and collaboration for everyone involved. Neighbors tell CTV News the encampment has been there for 3 weeks, but there are mixed reactions about what should be done next.
It's not a living area. It's a park. They don't belong there. The city should look at it. You know, we don't need outside people living in a park.
He's not bothering anybody. His dogs are quiet. He keeps them tied up. He hasn't bothered anyone. He's harmless.
The Essex County Nurse Practitioner-led clinic in Kingsville is expanding, allowing more patients to be taken in. Officials in Kingsville say this is just one more step toward closing the healthcare gap in Essex County. CTV's Chris Campbell has more.
Provincial officials announcing funding Thursday morning for the Essex County Nurse Practitioner-led clinic in Kingsville.
Primary care is the best way to keep people out of the emergency room. And that's why we are focused on getting primary care to everybody in Ontario.
The undisclosed dollar figure on this second stream of funding is a follow-up from last year's announcement of more than $424,000 in February of 2024 to allow the TMC Urgent Care Clinic on Main Street to expand.
There was a huge need in this area, so we were successful last year with the announcement to roster 1,200 patients.
The investment, part of a larger provincial initiative to connect more people to primary care teams.
And now with this new announcement, we are able to roster an additional 800 patients who are able to have access to this full gamut of care within our clinic.
The clinic's team says this is permanent support to help patients who don't have a family doctor to get primary care, a growing concern, especially in rural communities.
They're the best. They're the absolute best. I broke my kneecap last year by accident, and it was the nurse practitioner who knew that I had a blood clot when I fell, and that, I think, saved my life.
That's great. That is great. And this is good. It's good to be in Canada, and it's good to have the medicine here.
When you have great partners to work with, you can make things happen, and that's why we now have 2,000 more people in and around Kingsville connected to primary care.
This follows news from Erie Shores Healthcare in Leamington, which unveiled a new primary care referral pathway on Wednesday.
And so this is a really important point where when patients are discharged from the ER or discharged from an inpatient unit or our admission discharge unit, that we're attaching patients to the nurse practitioner-led clinic in Essex and or through WeCHC in real time. And that's allowing us to minimize revisits to the ER or readmissions as well.
Together, both initiatives aim to strengthen the local healthcare network, keeping more residents connected to ongoing care and reducing pressure on local emergency rooms.
Nurse practitioner-led clinics are part of the solution to providing greater access, especially as patients are leaving hospital or leaving emergency departments or trying to avoid an emergency department visit.
Chris Campbell, CTV News.
Canada's main stock index was weighed down by losses in the financial sector. In Toronto, the TSX lost 178 points. In New York, the Dow fell 301, the Nasdaq dropping 108. The Canadian dollar is down 0.02 cents for the day. And on commodity markets, gold gains $103 an ounce and oil lost 85 cents a barrel. More reaction now to the latest auto sector news. The leader of the Ontario NDP, Maru Stiles, says she will be pressing the Ford government to push back on Stellantis when the legislature resumes on Monday.
This wait-and-see approach that the Premier is taking is not saving a single job. It's not working, and so I'm very deeply concerned about it.
Stiles says she and Windsor West MPP Lisa Gretzky warned the Ford government about the potential loss of jobs over tariffs back when Titan Tool and Die workers first pushed back against their employer. Stiles telling the media today she's pleased to hear the federal government is considering legal action against Stellantis. She wishes that was also the plan from Ontario's perspective. Stiles was in Windsor speaking at the Provincial Building and Construction Trades Council conference that represents construction workers across Ontario. Stiles pledging to make sure taxpayer dollars earmarked for training goes to train workers.
Every single penny of training funds needs to serve the trades, to serve working people, to be responsible to the taxpayer. And my commitment to you is that the NDP will protect the Skills Development Fund come hell or high water.
As communities and police warn hate-motivated crimes are on the rise across the country, Statistics Canada has a new look at the latest trends and also a look at who's being targeted. CTV's Scott Hurst has the details.
Over the past several years, Canada has seen a troubling and steady rise in the number of police-reported hate crimes from coast to coast, and it's leaving many people feeling unsafe in their own communities and going to places of worship. A majority of the reported crimes targeting groups for their race, ethnicity, or religion, with Canada seeing a troubling surge in anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. New preliminary numbers put out this morning by Stats Canada are showing more than 2,200 police-reported hate crimes so far this year in the first half of the year, a very similar number to what was reported for the first half of last year, and still overall reflecting a significant spike in recent years. The number of reported incidents so far this year still more than all of 2019, with a nearly 50% increase in reported hate crimes just over the past 2 years. And according to the government data, Black, Jewish, and Muslim communities are the most frequently targeted groups overall last year. It's putting many Canadian communities on high alert, as well as police departments across the country trying to combat acts of violence, vandalism, and intimidation. This as the federal government, under pressure to stem the rising tide of hate, has introduced new legislation. The Combating Hate Act proposing 4 new criminal offenses. However, there are concerns from civil liberties groups that the proposed legislation goes too far and could infringe on the rights of Canadians. Scott Hurst, CTV News, Toronto.
The province is investing more than $32 million in water infrastructure in Lakeshore to help enable the construction of about 2,500 new homes. The money comes through Ontario's Housing Enabling Water Systems Fund, aimed at helping municipalities get housing projects shovel-ready. The County Road 22 sanitary sewer expansion is one of the projects set to benefit from this investment. Officials say the funding will support growth and help keep local construction workers on the job. It's all part of a broader plan to expand housing and infrastructure across Ontario. And Gary is back with a final look at weather. Gary.
I'm giddy thinking about the fall colors, of course, during the daytime. Beautiful scenery. Take advantage when you can. Take a look at this, the 7-day forecast I've prepared for you out there in TV land. Temperatures rising, believe it or not, above seasonal. 19 degrees, that's 3.5 degrees above seasonal on a cloudy Friday, up to 23. Not record-setting, but still statistically significant. Could see some showers, though. Friday, late in the day, overnight to Saturday morning, then a break, and then more showers on a cloudy Sunday, and much colder. 14 is now a degree and a half below seasonal. Sunny break on Monday, up to 16 seasonal, and then below seasonal and lower double digits anticipated from the middle of next week through to the end of it. And again, take advantage when you can. Have a great night's rest. Good night from all of us here, and enjoy your weather, no doubt.
Thank you, Gary. Have a great night. Downtown Windsor could be getting a new 17-story hotel and residential building. It's near the southeast corner of Wyandotte Street East and Olette. Ward 3 Councillor Ronaldo Agostino will not share who the developer is, but says the proposed hotel and condominium would be in addition to an existing 2-story commercial building. A public meeting will be held on the evening of November 6th to discuss the development. And finally tonight, International Chef's Day is on Monday, but it'll take on extra meaning in Windsor-Essex as the Hub of Opportunities is hosting its 3rd annual Pastabilities Luncheon at the Chicharo Club. More than 20 local chefs will team up with the Culinary Federation of Windsor to serve up pasta and raise funds and awareness for food insecurity in our region. All proceeds support UHC's food programs, including their food bank and community kitchen. Organizers say with more than 235,000 food bank visits last year and 30% of them children, the need has never been greater.
Definitely in Windsor-Essex, especially with everything going on with south side of the border. We want to make sure that people at least have some good food and are able to raise some money.
You get a container, and the container gets filled with 3 portions of pasta for $20. So you get to try 3 restaurants, and if you want more, you can come and get more.
A great initiative there for a great cause. That is your news for tonight. I'm Sanjay Maru. Thanks again for watching this edition of Windsor's News Leader. We'll see you right back here tomorrow at 6.